So, hey, for a second video, not really sure. Well, I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about this time. I think I'm going to talk a little bit about Trump. And I know there's going to be people who disagree with me on this issue. I don't give a fuck in the slightest. I genuinely have a very, very strong dislike for our president. I don't consider him legitimate. He won with a minority of votes and only became president because of a pretty archaic election system that we have, the Electoral College, which no other country, no other democratic country has. And so, right off the bat, his presidency is illegitimate, in my opinion. He didn't win the most votes, didn't even win a plurality of votes. And then you just got to look at his policies. And so I know there's going to be people who agree with his policies, people on the right wing, conservatives, people like that who are going to agree with his policies. And honestly, I can't agree with 99% of his policies. I think they are damaging to the working class. I think they're racist. I think they're homophobic, his transphobic, sexist policies that actively hurt a large segment of our population. I think white men, of which I am part of that group, are going to benefit to an extent from his presidency, though the people who are going to benefit most are going to be the wealthy, and I do not come from a wealthy family. I'm not wealthy myself. We're middle class. So I don't like Donald Trump. I think he's honestly a monster. I think his policies are malevolent. I think he's actively trying to hurt large segments of the population. He's feeding off of racial fears in our country. And there's a lot of white people, and I'm not saying all white people are evil. I don't think even most of Trump supporters, they're evil people. I think they're scared. Because for the first time, we're seeing white people are losing the majority, and they're not losing power. They still, even though we make up, I think it's roughly, it's like 60% of the population in our country, we are 90% of government positions are white men. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because we still have the most power. White people in general are much wealthier, they're much more educated, they have all these things that kind of put them in positions of power, and for some reason we're so scared that we might not be the only people who can swing a stick anymore. And Donald Trump is feeding off that fear, and you saw that throughout the campaign, calling Mexicans rapists and murderers and all these fucking awful things. And then feeding off the fears of black people, where he went talk about the inner cities, they're filled with drugs and crime and blah, 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 blah. And when politicians talk about inner cities, they're talking about black people. And Republicans love to pound about that. And I'm not trying to, I'm not saying all Republicans do this willingly. I'm not sure that, knowingly is what I meant by there. I'm not saying they're doing it because they hate black people. They're doing it because they know it is an effective political tool to rail against the inner cities, to rail against crime and drugs and all these things. And believe me, I think drug addiction is a serious problem and it needs to be addressed. I do not believe our current drug policies address that. But Donald Trump, as stupid as that man can be, and he is very often an absolute moron, incredibly, unbelievably ignorant of how our government works. He knew, or at least people in his campaign knew, how to play off these fears. And in the post 9/11 age, Muslims, and predominantly Arab Muslims, have become a huge whipping boy for people to deal with. People, specifically Republicans, so Democrats do this as well to a lesser extent, but they still do it. Republicans like to attack Islam and to attack Muslims. Like, they are the only people who commit acts of terror. And let's be real here. If most Muslims, or even a sizable group of Muslims, wanted to destroy the world, like wanted to kill all Christians, all Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, whatever, there is well over 1 billion Muslims. I think the number is like roughly 1.4 billion. That is a lot of people. That is a shit ton of people. if they really wanted to destroy all non-Muslims, we'd be dead. We'd be fucking dead. But they don't. We're not. Because they don't want to do that. Most Muslims, and I know a lot of Muslim people. I know a lot of people from Iraq, from Syria, from Jordan, a few from Iran, Turkey, all these places. They are good, loving people. And you have to meet people like this. You have to open yourself up and meet people from other cultures, from other faiths. Because if you don't, you fall victim to stuff like many people who support Donald Trump are. They don't know Muslims. They only know the caricature that's put up on Fox News and Breitbart and Stormfront. These far-right organizations that just don't give a shit about reality. It would rather just whine on and on and on about how there's a war on Christmas. There's no goddamn war on Christmas. It's a fucking national holiday. And these people who bitch and moan about, I have to say happy holidays. Fucking Christ, that's because guess what? A lot of people in our country aren't fucking Christian. And guess what? If you say Merry Christmas to them, 99 times out of 100, they're going to say, thank you, Merry Christmas back. But for some reason, for some goddamn reason, if one of them says, Happy Hanukkah, or Happy Kwanzaa, or congratulates you on one of their holidays, holy shit, now it's a goddamn problem. There's a war on Christmas, and I got to bitch and moan about how oppressed I am. Donald Trump suffers from something like that, where he is so goddamn determined that he is oppressed. That he, the rich white man, the old white motherfucker who's got billions, is the real victim here. And it's bullshit. It's grade A bullshit, and it pisses me off. Because you gotta look at it this way. White people, old white dudes, are the most privileged group in our country. And I'm not saying you can't have it hard. Because obviously, look at Donald Trump's face. They are poor white people. People in poverty. Who have been tricked into voting against their self-interest time and time again. The people that Mitt Romney talked about, the 47%, a lot of them are white. And a lot of them voted for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is the guy who talks about he's going to bring all these jobs back. And talking about, oh, you need to make American, buy American. His fucking, all his clothes, the Make America Great Again hats that he's been fucking flaunting around is still trying to fucking sell. Because he's not a fucking president. He acting like a businessman, like he's trying to run this business, and that's not how it fucking works. Those hats are made in goddamn China. The country that he keeps whining about. China, China. Fucking Christ. What a whiny bitch. What a hypocritical little fuck. And I'm sorry if I'm angry. I'm pissed about this guy. Because we had so many chances. And I have criticisms of President Obama. I think in a lot of ways he didn't go far enough when he could have and he should have. But we made progress. For 8 years, we made some fucking progress. Gay marriage, abortion rights, fighting the wage gap. We pulled out of Iraq, and we've started to pull out of Afghanistan, though things haven't gone perfect there. We at least made a step towards healthcare for people. And now, they just fucking spent 8 years whining about Obamacare, complaining about how it's the worst thing ever, even though it saved us money. We have saved money from Obamacare. And yes, for some people, it has hurt. For some people, it costs a little bit more. My family, we've actually had to pay a little bit more. But for millions of Americans who did not have healthcare, they now have healthcare, and they can go to the hospital and not worry about being in fucking debt for the rest of their lives. So yeah, I'm fucking pissed. Donald Trump has played off the fears and the bigotries and the ignorance of Americans. And we fell for it. Like, so many people fell for it. And I'm pissed. Because we made 8 years of progress, and we threw it away. We just fucking jumped on the shit wagon that is Donald Trump. He's a fascist, he's a white supremacist, and he is going to do terrible things for our country. I'm mad as fucking hell. And I do not know what we're gonna do. Thanks for listening. Good night.